edition of FreightWaves Now. My name is Kyle Cunningham. Today we're going to hear from our market expert, Donnie Gilbert. Seth Holmes is going to bring the news on Class 8 truck orders, but here's Nick Austin with the weather.
Welcome to FreightWaves Weather, your Wednesday edition. I'm FreightWaves meteorologist Nick Austin. We still have a lot of flooding problems, or at least the potential for more flooding problems during the day today. Hope we've had a good week so far, but tell you, parts of the Midwest and the Plains, it's been really rough. Lots of sections of Iowa and other Midwestern states yesterday had flash flooding from really heavy thunderstorms, torrential rains, and that could happen again today. We're talking about official flash flood watches from central and southern Kansas, including Wichita, all the way up into northern Missouri. So parts of Interstate 70, 35, I-29 as well. Still going to be problems today. But really the flood threat goes all the way up to Chicago and as far south as the Texas Panhandle, at least the potential for more flash flooding. And there's a section of Interstate 29 because of flooding that's still closed from just a little bit north of Council Bluffs all the way up to around Loveland. So it's a pretty good stretch of I-29 that's still closed there. So lots of heavy rain and thunderstorms, not all day, but off and on today, and also periods of heavy rain with the potential for some more ongoing flooding during the nighttime. Maybe a quick couple inches of rain with some of these thunderstorms as they come down really heavily. And the ground's already so saturated that the water levels can rise really quickly in the local rivers and the local streams. Next, we're going to go a little bit northward towards the northern plains, and we're going to take a look at the Dakotas. This is from southeastern Montana into North and South Dakota. There's the chance for a little bit of snowfall today or a mix of snow and rain across portions of I-90 and I-94. Not a big area of winter weather here, but certainly going to be problems on some sections of those interstates. A few more inches of snow, slushy conditions, possibly in some of the higher elevations. The roads might get a little bit icy under that snow and slush, so just be careful of that. Last, we're going to talk about Hurricane Lorenzo. It's a Category 1 hurricane. It's been out here in the North Atlantic for a long time now, for several days. Winds right now at 90 miles per hour. It's getting a really quick push to the north and east. The forward speed of the hurricane right now is more than 40 miles per hour, so it's going to make a quick northerly track here and then turn easterly during the day tomorrow and probably make landfall in Western Ireland up in the UK sometime tomorrow afternoon or tomorrow evening local time up there. And it's going to make landfall most likely as a hurricane. So as far as ocean cargo, even air cargo, as well as just local supply chain problems in Ireland, there could be problems for several days as the storm makes landfall and then moves across Ireland into the western part of England during the day on Friday. So we'll have to keep an eye on that for the next few days. No impact on the US, but certainly over in the UK. That's what you need to know about your weather for today. For all of our videos, make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel, our FreightWaves YouTube channel, that is. Have a great day and be careful out there.
Wednesday Carrier Update sponsored by ID Systems. My name is Kyle Cunningham. Today, let's talk about what's happening out west. Two very important markets, Spokane, Washington, and Pendleton, Oregon. Let's jump in. Let's take a look at what's going on. You can see this blue mountain here. That's your outbound tender rejects for Pendleton. Big moves up and down throughout the entirety of the last year. But what's been happening is this white line here, your Spokane market, your OTRI.GEG, 14.97%, so 15% of all outbound tenders being rejected. That's your white line here. You can see around April of this year, both of these markets started tracking together, which indicates that the capacity inside of both these markets moves and fluctuates in conjunction. Let's go over and take a look and see what's going on as of today. In Pendleton, 17.4% on your outbound rejections, and Spokane just under 15%. You can see a big jump up right here leading into October. In terms of lanes, your best bet is going to be Spokane to Pendleton and then Pendleton right back to Spokane. You've got a few other options down there, Pendleton to LA and Spokane to LA, both looking decent, but still not as good as running in between both of these markets. Now we'll take it on down south to El Paso, Texas. Out in the West Texas town of El Paso, your outbound tender volume index is up a little bit above your inbound, indicating optionality outbound. Here's the important part. As you can see, we've got all of these moves up and down between around 15% to under 7.5. Where we're at today is at 8.35 trending down. Now what I'm going to go ahead and say is that around 6 down here, 6% outbound rejections. That's going to be peak capacity inside of the market. So look for this to drop on down, but in the next coming week, understand that there is going to be a capacity crunch inside of El Paso. Very important to pay attention in this very volatile market. Taking it over to the east side, Memphis, Tennessee, we're looking at what's happening in conjunction with Little Rock, Arkansas on the refrigerated side. Your outbound tender volume, Memphis way bigger on the outbound volume, but Little Rock here on terms of outbound reefer rejections, this is your yellow-green line up here. You're seeing 44.92. Memphis actually becoming elevated above Little Rock. You can see these two are tracking together in the same fashion as well as of around late September. So those are two markets to watch if you have refrigerated capacity. As always, make sure you stay tuned to your carrier update every single day.
The comprehensive logistics offerings from PowerFleet cover in-cab ELD, fleet management, trailer tracking, cargo monitoring, and tracking other assets such as chassis and intermodal containers. Power up your operations with PowerFleet.
Now it's time for your Wednesday brokerage update with our market expert, Donnie Gilbert. Donnie, what do you have for us today?
Today, Kyle, I brought us a chart that has our outbound tender volumes for on a national average, and I've compared that to our outbound tender rejection rates for both dry van and reefer. So we started the volume index back in March of 2018, and we started the index at 10,000 for a national level. We kind of use that as a benchmark. It wasn't a strong market, and it wasn't a very weak market. It's a real good neutral market and a great time to just kind of throw that 10,000 index out there for a good starting point. We use that as a benchmark going across all the markets to kind of measure it against. Is it a strong market, a weak market, kind of based on that 10,000? Well, today here, we're at 10,433. So we're above the 10,000 mark, and that's where we always want to see the volumes market on a national level. But over the past 8 or 9 months, we have seen a lot of capacity enter the market. Rates were great back in 2018, and that attracted a lot of new drivers. So what that's done here is that's kept our dry van tender rejection rates very muted for this year. Right now, we're at 4.33%, which means that right now our spot market rates for dry vans on a national average is kind of right around the contracted or right below the contracted rates. So very weak on rate-wise for dry van. But reefer is a different story. Reefer, we've got an average of 17% for tender rejection rates right now, or 16.94, and it's been climbing over the past 2 or 3 weeks. So right now, in terms of pricing, it's the reefer market is a lot stronger, and with a 16 or 17% tender rejection rate, that's letting us know that rates right now are well above the contracted rates for the reefer market. Now, I want to kind of look in and dive in. Look here at Omaha. I've seen that here that on the blue line is our outbound tender volume index, and the red line is our reefer tender rejection rates. We've seen here over the past few days that the outbound tender volumes have actually picked up a little bit before kind of dipping back down. But our reefer rates, our tender rejection rates are still going up, which indicates that spot market rates are still climbing for reefers in the Omaha market. So this is a good market for aiming your reefers towards. You want to run, in the Midwest right now, it's kind of a lot of the stronger markets for reefers. So run them back and forth, maybe between Omaha and Indiana, Ohio, and those are really good lanes right now. Or even up and down between Omaha and Memphis.
Let me ask you a question, Donnie. Why do you think this is happening? Is it a lead up from the turkey and poultry season leading into Christmas? Is that happening already?
Well, here it's this 2nd of October?
Yeah, it's happening fast.
And we have Thanksgiving coming up in November. So coming actually from the factory, now's the time they need to start shipping this stuff to get into the DCs, to get into the warehouses, and then turn around and get them into the stores. You're not going to go buy a turkey on November 27th. You're going to pick it up a week or two before Thanksgiving, and you'll be buying chicken and turkey both, ham. So all these meals are coming up for a great Thursday dinner. And then, of course, it's going to happen again right before Christmas. So right now, you're going to have a lot of stuff shipping. Of course, our poultry belt, like I say, are a lot of those markets that are between Arkansas and Omaha. So a great area right now. Keep an eye on this. Reefer rates should stay elevated in this area. Now, I'm going to jump out to the West Coast.
All right.
It's been a tough area on the West Coast, and we had produce season. It was kind of a bust. The rates picked up, but not near like they did in the past few years before. But I'm excited to see that here in Fresno, California, they're actually going through their winter harvest. So you're going to start seeing volumes pick up a little bit, and we're already seeing reefer tender rejection rates starting to pick up in the Fresno market. They're only at 8.74%, but that's getting rates above contracted rates.
That's basically taking it to almost 1 out of every 10 tenders being rejected, right?
Exactly. So what we're getting at here is, with rates rising, it's a market that you want to watch. Maybe start heading your reefers towards that area now, because Northern California is always a tough market. A lot of your carriers get up in Northern California and they'll take their trucks empty and deadhead them down to Southern California, where a lot more produce and a lot more dry van freight resides. So we see it picking up, we see it starting now. This is a market that brokers need to keep their eye on.
Thanks so much. Absolutely fantastic perspective from Donnie Gilbert today. Stay tuned for more updates tomorrow. Time for your shipper update on this Wednesday with Seth Holmes. Seth, looks really interesting. What do you got for us today?
Thanks, Kyle. So today I'm going to be talking about new Class 8 truck orders relative to replacement demand. So for the Sonar subscribers, I just put out a report on this recently, and I also wrote an article on the website. But turning to the chart here, I just wanted to give the main highlights and takeaways. And so looking here, I have new Class 8 truck orders going back over the last 5 years from 2014 to 2019. And as you can see, this year to date, at an annualized pace, you're running at 150,000 new trucks. Now that's a really low number. To put that in context, last year we had 490,000 trucks. So people might say, well, last year was a banner year, it was actually an all-time record. What does this actually mean in context of that? And so to do that, we came up with an estimate of replacement demand. And right here, the blue line, the estimate of replacement demand is 275,000 trucks. So right now, if you look at the shortfall between 150 and 275, you're looking at a shortfall of about 125,000 trucks. So I looked at a couple other things in my report. So what does this actually, what does a 125,000 truck shortfall actually mean for the market? And so if you measure that relative to capacity using Sonar, we know that there's 2.3 million total tractors in the US, including private fleets. So if you divide 125,000 by 2.3 million, you're looking at over 5% capacity exiting the market right now.
And do you think that'll lead to an increase in spot market rates with that capacity being taken out of the market?
I do. And so one other thing, the last thing I looked at is, well, a lot of people will say just because new orders are running low, that doesn't actually mean trucks are exiting the market. To give you that indication, you can look at used truck pricing. And so used truck pricing has actually been holding up before August. However, in August, we saw the first year-over-year decline in used truck pricing in 2 or 3 years. They were down 2% year-over-year. So when you put that all together, it's not just people not buying new trucks, it's people exiting the market because they're selling their used trucks. And so in light of that, spot pricing has kind of bottomed out in the $1.25 range. Earlier this year, you're up at about $1, approaching $1.50. Things are looking pretty good from that front.
Excellent. Market changing every single day. As always, stay tuned to FreightWaves Now every single day for your shipper update. And that will close it out for Wednesday's edition of FreightWaves Now. Make sure you hit that like and subscribe button if you're watching on YouTube. If you're taking a look out on Facebook, watch the night shift tonight at 7 p.m. We'll be taking live calls from you, the viewer, and follow us on LinkedIn as well. We'll see you all tomorrow.